So
Oh my.
everyone knows, they get excited. Um, I am a nerd at heart, and I love taking classes. And so your timber classes and building the house and everything, I just think that's completely amazing. What made you come up with that concept, and what do you enjoy most about it?
Well, it's been my goal to, part of just like building out the shop and everything is to teach woodworking classes. It's been on like my every year goal to start holding woodworking classes from, basic hand planing, like maybe some small furniture projects where I design something where we go over everything from like dimensioning and everything with your wood, and then laying out joinery and cutting, a variety of different joints to create the project. I really want to do some workbench classes, and different things like that. And and it's been a dream and something we've been working on for about 4 or 5 years, building a timber frame house. Ever since we bought this property, that's been the goal. And we worked with Shelter Institute, which is a timber framing school out in Maine, and they're an engineering firm, and also they build timber frames for people full time. And so we designed our timber framing class, or our timber frame, with them based on like how we wanted our house laid out, and we did that like at least 3 years ago. And it's just been like, the whole COVID thing, like kind of waiting out the storm and biding our time and saving up money and all that. And timber framing, just like hand tools, they're in traditional joinery, it's all like almost identical. It's just you're using a lot bigger piece of the wood, but the concepts are the exact same, as far as like, technique and layout and executing and refining, all that kind of stuff. And I took a timber framing course, like I think 3 years ago out in Maine, and have built several timber framing structures and projects, and just something that I was pretty good at, good enough that I feel like I could teach a class, the concepts of, building a timber frame. And I also, I worked again with Shelter Institute. They have a really, really good online course, timber framing course. And just to ensure that my students got really good value, I was able to work with Shelter so that all my students got their online course for free. So
Nice.
essentially paid that cost to Shelter, um, and it's like I think it's a $600 course online. So
Wow.
and that way the students, and if you've ever taken a class, you come back home or like a week later, a month later, you've forgotten so much stuff. So the beauty of it was that students could come here, learn from me all the techniques and everything, in person, have like, a coach and a teacher and someone to check their work, do that. And then down the road, when they're ready to build their timber frame, they could always go back and look at that Shelter Institute course and totally refresh on all those concepts and everything, and get back out and practice. So I thought it was a really, really good kind of offering for students, and boy, it was the most stressful, and daunting thing that I've ever undertook, planning for that. And it's been something that we've been dreaming about for a long time. And then I remember when we finally made that one video where we announced the class, and I put them, on my website so that people could buy it. Like, I don't think I slept for 3 days. I had so much. I was like physically ill with worry that,
Oh,
because I wanted to like provide such a good, experience and the knowledge when, students coming from all over the country, if they're taking time off work and paying the tuition, which, isn't cheap, and paying for a hotel and a rental car and all that kind of stuff to come out here, and to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, have your timbers here, have everything ready, for these students. It was hard on me, but it went so incredibly well. It was all worth it. This, like, we had some of the best week on both sides. Like, the conversations and stuff I've had with students afterwards, and you could just tell they really had an awesome time at the class. And, not only building a timber frame, but, a lot of them are people that follow me too. So they really took a lot of joy and extra kind of value by helping me go work towards my, dream house and work on that. And a lot of people thought it was kind of like a scammy type thing to get people to come pay and build my house, but and I can
Genius.
kind of see why they did.
Yeah.
Trust me, it was about a 50-50 like flip as far as the amount of stress and work that when you have students hand cut everything versus if I just do everything like with chain mortisers and different things to speed up the process.
Yeah.
It was 100% worth that experience. So I'll never forget these guys for the rest of my life, and just I'll always have that. It was so cool. I'm so glad I did it. And I definitely want to do more classes. And we have our timber frame garage that we still need to do. So I definitely plan on holding another class probably next fall, depending on how well we do on getting the rest of this house built. But yeah, I hope I answered the question. I went right off the rails.
No,
You did good.
that's good.
That was
That's
awesome.
good.
That just
Yeah.
made me wonder. Did you have anybody show up and they're just like, I'm helping you build your house and I can't even get a break.
We definitely had as far as like tuition costs.
No, like sit down and drink some water.
I did. It was funny. We did. We had our like class schedule when class was due to stop every day, and when a lot of these, when a lot of timber framing schools are teaching a class, there's usually like at least 2 to 4 experienced people that are going around to like help check layout, help check progress, answer the questions, verify, like you got to check once the joint is cut to make sure it's actually cut like right so that there's not going to be any problems when you try putting everything together. And it was, and most of those schools are teaching they have a smaller frame, like something that's like a 24 by 24 that has, simple rafters, and they're using usually like 8 by 8 posts, like a much more feasible, doable sized frame. And I'm like, this house is gargantuan, way bigger than I should have built. I mean, one of those things when your eyes are a lot bigger than your stomach when
there
you
you
pick
go.
out a bunch of food. We're like, my wife and I, when we were designing this thing back in the day, we were looking at like, oh, that, we want our dream once in a lifetime house, and paying for it now. But anyways, we had a giant, these much larger frame than normal, and pieces. Our posts are 10 by 10s, our tie beams are 10 by 12s. I mean, they're very big and they're cumbersome to move. It just all adds to extra time. And so we had a little bit less students than a lot of classes will usually do. I think a lot of classes will do 20 to 30 students. My classes were at 20, and we're doing a bigger frame. It's just me. And so like it was a lot of work, and a lot of the students actually like the class was supposed to stop at 4 every day, but as soon as like 4 was done, I was like out there working until night, and a ton of the students like kind of, they didn't want to leave. They don't want to go back to the hotel room. They wanted to like hang out and
That's good.
and be working.
That's
So
good.
we actually worked like a lot of really late nights, and usually towards the evening, a couple brewskis came out, as long as we weren't
There you go.
running too many power tools or anything like that. So, and one night, like I live here on the river, a river here, and I remember one night it was a really muggy night. Like 4 or 5 of the guys that stayed real late, all went out and just like walked into the river, and were in their clothes, or just like floating on their backs. It was so cool. It was so cool.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
Very.
yeah, we cracked the whip on them for sure.